This is, in my opinion, the best business book ever written, point blank, period. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. If you don't know, my name is Aram. I'm a real estate agent here in the Chicagoland area. And today we are talking about the top 10 best books I recommend for all real estate agents. Not just the new ones, across the board. The 20-year-old, the 30-year-old, the 72-year-old, and the realtor who's been in the business for 20 plus years. I think these books, if you haven't read them yet, are going to help you in your business in every way possible. And one thing you will notice is that none of these 10 books are real estate books, with exception to one is an investment book. Other than that, everything has nothing to do about being a real estate agent. It's all business, sales, communication, all that. And that is really what this business is all about, or I should say what any business is all about. You guys have requested this video in my DMs, in the comments for the last 3 to 4 months, and I've honestly have not had the time to make it, but it's finally happening. So if you enjoy it, please let me know by liking the video, leave a comment with your thoughts, feedbacks. Actually, let me know if you read these books in the comments, which ones you've read, and if you haven't, which one are you gonna start with first? I'd actually really like to know, so leave that in the comments so we can go back and forth, get your feedback on these books, and see what we can come up with. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe. Nothing changes, and I'll see you on the next video. Let's get the party started. I want to add real quick that none of these books are in any particular order, with exception to the first book I'm going to share with you, because I believe this is the most impactful, informative book you could possibly read in any industry, and it's all about communication. You've probably seen it before. I refer to it as my business Bible. It's the reason my first deal closed, and it's the reason I was as good at communication and as good as I am with people and on camera, is this beautiful book. You've probably heard of it. You've probably already read it. How to Win Friends and Influence People. This was, I think, written in the 60s. This is the third copy I have. I keep gifting it to people, so that's kind of why this video was delayed. I wanted to wait until I get a copy of this in my hand. So I think this book right here is fantastic for several reasons. Number one, it's just timeless, right? It's basic human communication that if you could just master what's in this book, I bet you there's people who read this book and sold you a $1,000 course on communication. But it's all in this book, right? Very simple stuff. And what I enjoyed the most, because this is the first book, one of the first books I read when I got into being a real estate agent and into reading. And I usually get bored of books because they're bland, right? It's all the same stuff. It's all filler and it's boring. This, however, was a little bit different because once it gives you the technique, it gives you a scenario and a story in which that technique was used. For example, it'll say like, how to always use someone's first name. Then it will give you a true life story about somebody who always used their first name, like a sales rep or CEO or a business owner or whatever the case is, right? So I love this book. I'm actually gonna start reading it again this next month. Next up, the Jordan Belfort Way of the Wolf. If you're into sales, there is scripts in this book that are absolutely phenomenal, and I just loved like getting in the mind of Jordan Belfort, who's a really good salesperson, understanding like what does he think, how does he come up with objections, and then there's a method in here called looping that once you figure it out, you realize you can literally handle objections for like 2 hours. Now that's not the goal, but having the skill doesn't hurt. So Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort. I'll figure out a way to put links in the description, so if you end up buying it, at least I'll get paid. Next up, this is pretty popular. I mean, if you haven't heard of this book, I don't know what to tell you, but Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I zoomed through this book in probably a week because I truly enjoyed everything that was in here, especially the part where he mentions to pay your brokers. Now that's what we call wealthy mindset. I'm just joking around, obviously, but it's got some truth to it. The reason I enjoyed this book is because I'm so guilty of buying liabilities first. Instead, where the book is trying to explain to you, it's not telling you how to invest in real estate. It's telling you the mindset behind investing in real estate or investing in general, right? How to not shoot yourself in the foot. Like, hey, you just made 30K this month. You can go buy a Rolex and you can go buy a really nice car, put a dope down payment on, and you're good, right? Or you could take that $30,000, invest it in an appreciating asset, and in 10 years from now, buy everything you need cash, right? So that's the gist of this book. Fantastic book. It'll really change your mindset on money. Next up, this by far, if you're in business, you have to read this book. This is, in my opinion, the best business book ever written, point blank, period. It's called The Blue Ocean Strategy. The concept behind this book, ladies and gentlemen, is fascinating. So a blue ocean, it compares between a blue ocean and a red ocean, right? A red ocean is really where like everybody's competing with each other, right? It's bloody. Like me and 40,000 other real estate agents, we're just competing with each other, like cold calling, right? That would be a red ocean, right? Everybody's cold calling. We all know how to do it. We all have different scripts. We're all reaching the same people, right? The same audience. That's red ocean. Blue ocean strategy teaches you to, while in that same business, reach a new audience, right? A new platform that no one is looking at, and it's just you. It's a blue ocean. There's no competition there because really, you don't want competition. You want to be the only one there. In theory, you want a monopoly, let's be honest. What business owner doesn't, right? So the blue ocean strategy gives you, which again I love so much, real life scenarios of how businesses had to adapt and overcome the red ocean and go into a blue ocean and how their businesses were struggling. And by making this small move, they've exploded. Like Circus du Soleil, if you've ever heard of them. This is the first, like the theory in this book, not theory, story explained in this book, how they changed their business model and now they're incredibly profitable, right? Fantastic book, The Blue Ocean Strategy. If you're in business, I don't care what you do, you could be selling shoelaces. Read this book. And one way we can apply the Blue Ocean Strategy to us real estate agents, because let's be honest, you're a real estate agent, I'm a real estate agent, that's all we care about. Red ocean, cold calling. Red ocean, postcards. Red ocean, open houses. Red ocean, Instagram, Facebook. Red ocean, right? Bloody in there. However, TikTok, blue ocean, very easy to get attention, right? Not a lot of realtors there, not a lot of competition. It's an audience that has not been touched yet, right? Blue ocean. Another strategy, YouTube, right? Blue ocean. There's really not that many realtors making proper content on YouTube. Blue ocean. So when you build your business in a blue ocean, you realize you're the only one. There's no other competition. You set your rates. See how great that is? Next up, listen. Gary Vaynerchuk writes a book. We all must read it. Period. The end. This book was sitting on my desk for a year and a half. Then one day I was like, it's 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm so bored of reading this BS mental health book because I don't need it. I'm going to pick up Crushing It. I'm going to read it. I think I read like 50 pages first sitting. It was phenomenal book. And what I love the most is the case studies. It actually will say, here's the technique and here's how this person used it and here's the results that they had. I think that's incredibly beneficial to all of us listening because you could say, you know what, that may not work in my industry, but what Lewis did over here, that'll work in my industry. So if you're, again, any business owner should read this book. It's very predicated on social media. So if you want to build your business using social media, use this. Next up, now this might ruffle some feathers. Okay, I want you to put your emotions out of it. Think like a logical business person. The Donald Trump book. What's it called again? Trump, The Art of the Deal. This really gets you, again, I love this book because it goes over his, I think he wrote it, but obviously he didn't ghostwrite it, whatever. But it goes over his actual deals and what he was thinking when he was going into these negotiations and how he got, because he has negotiated some historical deals like the Mar-a-Lago deal. When you read about that deal and how he was able to get such a ridiculous price on that, it's insane, right? It basically goes over like his patience, his ability to see in the future. And I think it's a really good business book for somebody who wants to think big and kind of like what moves can lead you to be where you need to be. So I think this is a great business book and especially great for negotiating to see what you should do and what you shouldn't do. So read it. Next up, this one is, it's a really feel-good book, but I think the concepts in it is very important to understand. It's called The Go-Giver. Basically, the concept of this book is don't be a jerk, aim to give, give as much as you can to people and people are inherently good and they're going to return the favor to you, and that's the gist of this book. Next up is the Burr book. As a real estate agent, if you want to work with investors, it's very, very important to understand how that all works, how it's flipping, how, rentals, this, that, and the other, what to look for. And this book is a really good benchmark to start off with. because it explains the financing, it explains the rehab, the process of buying, how to buy, all that. It's in this book. It gets a little bit repetitive. You don't have to read every paragraph, to be honest. There's a lot of fillers in here, but definitely worth the read, and I recommend it. Next up, this is a personal book for me. It's called The Gambler. If you haven't heard of this gentleman, his name is Kirk Kerkorian. When he died, he was worth $4.4 billion, and he's a real estate developer and like a mogul in reality. He basically owns half of Vegas, or owned half of Vegas before he died. And this is actually an autobiography. And what I love most, again, real life example of what can be done and what decisions led him to be the billionaire that he was before he died. What kind of a person was he, things like this. And then how he started, how he made small moves, and what risks did he take. It's all described in this book, and it's a fantastic read, especially if you're Armenian like me, because he's also a fellow Armenian, immigrant, poor. Sounds like deja vu if you ask me. And then finally, Never Split the Difference. Great book on negotiation. You cannot go wrong with it. As a business owner, real estate agent, you're going to be negotiating for a living. So best you learn the best way to do it. That's it. If you enjoyed this video, I'm rushing because I don't know how much time is left on the camera. But if you enjoyed this video, if some of these books that you've already read, let me know in the comments. If you're looking forward to reading a specific one, if I introduce you to a book you hadn't heard of, I would love to know which one it was. Leave it in the comments. And as always, I appreciate all your support. And like, comment, subscribe. Take care.